Hello, my friend. Welcome to Dreamy Nights. I'm so glad you're here. Tonight, we'll drift together into a gentle story, one that feels like the hush of twilight and the soft percussion of rain on a high rooftop. It is a story built from stillness and shelter, where every quiet moment is an invitation to let go. So find your comfort, take a slow, easy breath, and allow the edges of your day to soften and dissolve. When you're ready, our story begins. The day does not end, but rather it dissolves. It lets go of its hold on the world with a slow and graceful sigh, melting from the sharp blue of afternoon into a softer, more thoughtful gray. Here in this room, high under the slope of the roof, the end of the day is a quiet and private ceremony, witnessed only by the old wooden beams and the silent watching window. The light that remains is not the bright demanding light of morning, but something gentler, a light that seems to understand the need for rest, or it is a wash of deep indigo and violet, the color of a fading memory, and it smooths the hard edges of everything it touches, turning the familiar shapes of the attic into soft, gentle suggestions. Outside, the world is preparing for night, for the deep and dream-filled quiet that lies ahead. The wind has settled. The last of the birds have found their shelter, and the air itself seems to be holding its breath, waiting. From this high window, the world below seems distant and peaceful. The branches of an old oak tree, which just hours ago were clear and distinct against the sky, are now blurred into a single soft silhouette. Its leaves, once 1,000 tiny points of green, have merged into a dark, textured canopy that sways almost imperceptibly, a slow dance with a breeze that is felt more than heard. The garden below has surrendered its bright colors to the evening, the reds and yellows of late blooming flowers, now just deeper shades of gray. It is a landscape washed in tranquility, a world slowly turning inward, preparing for the deep restoration of the night. There is a profound stillness in this transition, a sense of peace that settles not just over the earth, but within the very air of this quiet, elevated room. It is a quiet that feels ancient and reassuring, a promise that after every long day, there is a time for softness, a time for release. Inside the attic, this gentle fading light finds its way across the wide planked wooden floors. It does not illuminate so much as it mellows, catching the warm, amber tones of the aged wood and making them glow from within. The light touches upon the spine of a leather-bound book left on a small table, its gold lettering now a faint, soft shimmer. It glides over the heavy, nubby texture of a woolen throw draped over the back of a comfortable armchair, its deep cream color turned to a shade of old parchment in the deepening dusk. This is a place where time moves differently. It does not rush forward, but instead pools and eddies like a slow-moving river. Every object seems to have found its final, perfect place, content to rest in the growing shadows, to be a silent keeper of the quiet. The air itself is thick with the sense of peaceful permanence, carrying a faint clean scent of old wood dry paper and the cool clean fragrance of impending rain. And then it comes, not with a sudden crash of thunder or a dramatic rush of wind, but with a presence so subtle it is almost mist. It is a single perfect drop of water, a tiny sphere of liquid silver that appears as if from nowhere and lands upon the cool glass of the window pane. It makes a sound so soft it is barely a sound at all, more a slight shift in the silence, a tiny, dull tap that speaks of the sky's slow release. For a moment, it holds its shape, a perfect clear jewel, reflecting the last vestiges of the evening light, a miniature world contained within its tiny circumference. Then a second drop joins it, landing just beside the first, and then another and another after that. They are not in a hurry. They arrive as individual messengers, each one announcing the gentle arrival of the rain in its own time, with its own soft, singular voice. The first few notes of the rain's song begin to build a slow and deliberate whisper against the glass and the old slate shingles of the roof. This is not the sound of a storm, but the sound of release, a gentle letting go. The rhythm is hesitant at first, a sparse and random pattern of soft taps, like thoughtful fingers drumming gently on a tabletop. It is a sound that invites listening, that draws the quiet mind into its simple, unfolding melody. Pitter, pat, a pause, then a soft cluster of drops, a gentle roll of sound that fades as quickly as it arrives. The rhythm is organic and patient, a conversation between the sky and the house. It is a sound that does not demand attention, but rather earns it through its persistence and its profoundly soothing nature. It speaks of cleansing, of washing away the dust, and the hurry of the day, leaving behind only what is clean and calm and true. The attic seems to welcome the sound, to draw it into its own deep sense of peace. The wooden beams which have held this roof against 1,000 such rains seem to settle just a little, as if comforted by the familiar lullaby. The soft surfaces of the room, the blankets, the old rugs, the worn upholstery of the chair seem to absorb the gentle percussion, softening it even further until it becomes a part of the very fabric of the silence. The air grows cooler, carrying the fresh, earthy scent of rain on dry ground, a fragrance that drifts in through the smallest cracks in the old window frame. It is the scent of renewal of the earth drinking in the sky. As the rain begins to fall with a little more confidence, its rhythm growing steadier and more assured, the world outside the window blurs even more the distinct shapes of trees and rooftops, dissolving into a soft, impressionistic wash of gray and black. The attic becomes an ark of warmth and safety, a haven of gentle light floating in a world of soft sound and falling water. There is a quiet invitation in this moment, a call to let go of the day's thoughts and worries, to allow them to be washed away with the rain. The steady rhythmic patter is a gentle metronome for the slowing heart, for the deepening breath. Each drop that strikes the roof is a tiny percussive note in a symphony of tranquility, a piece of music composed for the sole purpose of bringing rest. The mind, which so often races ahead or lingers in the past, finds itself drawn into the simple present reality of the sound. There is only the rain. There is only the warm, dim light of the room. There is only the feeling of being completely and utterly sheltered. It is a profound and simple comfort, the feeling of being safe inside while the world outside receives a gentle cleansing. The first drops have become a steady, reassuring presence, a gentle cascade that promises a long, peaceful night of deep and uninterrupted rest. The rain has found its voice, a settled and constant whisper that has become the new silence of the attic. The initial hesitant drops have grown into a confident and soothing cascade, a sound that feels as if it has always been here and will continue long into the peaceful night. The room has absorbed this gentle rhythm, making it part of its own deep and abiding calm. With the sound now a familiar comfort, the focus shifts from the ears to the eyes, drawn irresistibly to the large pane of glass, where the outside world meets this quiet sanctuary. The window is no longer just a way of seeing out, but has become a destination in itself, a living canvas on which the night is painting a masterpiece of tranquility. It is here that the rain performs its slow and silent ballet, a dance of light and water that transforms the ordinary into the magical. The view, which moments ago was a muted but still recognizable landscape, has now completely surrendered its form. It has become a soft watercolor, a painting rendered in the gentlest of palettes. The sharp lines of neighboring rooftops, the distinct silhouette of the old oak tree, the distant orderly line of a fence, all have dissolved. They are now just impressions, soft-edged suggestions of a world that is no longer demanding of attention. The world beyond the glass is a gentle abstraction, a wash of deep grays, soft blues, and the faintest smudges of distant sleeping lights. A far-off street lamp is not a sharp point of illumination, but a blooming hazy star. Its light diffused and softened as it travels through the rain-swept air, and the wet pane arriving not as a glare, but as a gentle, blurry glow. This blurring of the world feels like a kindness, a soft focus lens applied to the day, making everything easier to let go of. On the cool surface of the glass, the raindrops begin to create their own intricate geography. At the top of the pane, a fine mist of 1,000 tiny clinging droplets has formed, each one too small to fall, creating a delicate frosted veil. Lower down, these smaller beads of water surrender to gravity and to each other, coalescing into larger, heavier drops. It is a slow and patient process, a quiet gathering. And from these gatherings, the real journey begins. A single drop, now heavy enough to move, starts a slow, meandering descent. It does not fall in a straight line, but traces a winding, silvery path down the glass. A tiny, silent river seeking its own course. It hesitates, pauses, then merges with another drop in its path, gaining momentum before continuing its slow, elegant slide towards the window frame below. Each of these descending drops becomes a vessel of light, a tiny, fleeting jewel. As it moves, it catches the warm, honeyed glow from the lamp inside the attic, carrying this spark of warmth with it on its journey down the cool glass. The window pane is adorned with these slow-moving illuminated trails, a constantly shifting and reforming pattern of light. It is as if the window is weeping slow, happy tears of pure liquid gold. To watch one is to become lost in its simple, perfect journey. It exists only for a moment. This tiny, perfect sphere of captured light. And then it is gone, merging into the pool of water at the base of the pane, its journey complete. Another immediately follows, tracing a slightly different path, creating a new temporary streak of soft illumination. It is a silent, captivating spectacle. A private light show designed only for this room, for this moment of deep quiet. The glass itself feels like a membrane between two distinct worlds. On the outside is the cool, damp, kinetic energy of the night, a world of movement and cleansing. And on the inside is the profound stillness and dry, gentle warmth of this sheltered space. The coolness of the glass, which can be felt in the air just before it is a subtle reminder of the elements at play beyond the walls. And this reminder only serves to deepen the sense of comfort and security within. The window is a perfect boundary, allowing the beauty of the rain to enter its sound, its light, its rhythm, while keeping the cold and damp at a gentle, comfortable distance. It does not shut the world out, but rather it filters it, translating its raw energy into a form that is soothing, beautiful, and profoundly peaceful. It is a testament to the simple, profound magic of shelter. This visual story, told in streaks of silver and gold on the dark glass, helps the mind to release its own inner chatter. The winding paths of the raindrops offer a focus point, a gentle moving meditation. Thoughts of the day, which can often cling with such persistence, seem to follow the same pattern as the water. They appear, they are observed for a moment, and then they are allowed to drift away, to flow downwards and dissolve without resistance. There is no need to hold on to them, no need to follow them. Like the drops on the window, they are transient, and their letting go is a natural and peaceful process. The constant, slow downward motion is profoundly calming, a visual lullaby that whispers of release, of letting go, of allowing things to take their natural course without effort or strain. As the minutes stretch and soften, the distinction between the sound of the rain and the sight of it begins to fade. They merge into a single immersive experience. The gentle patter on the roof is the soundtrack to the slow dance of the droplets on the glass. The sight of a larger drop hitting the pane and creating a tiny starburst ripple is accompanied by a slightly deeper resonant tick in the audio tapestry of the night. The attic is now completely enveloped in this sensory cocoon. The world beyond the window has become an abstract painting, a beautiful but distant dream, while the reality is this room, this warmth, this gentle light, and the slow, steady, reassuring presence of the rain in all its forms. The window pane holds the last of the evening light, but it is a light that has been transformed, broken down into 1,000 smaller, softer pieces, each one a tiny, shimmering reminder of the peace that comes with the night. The details are gone. The sharp edges have been washed away, and all that remains is a gentle abstraction of shape and shadow, a world made soft and safe by the falling water. The need to see clearly, to understand, to define has faded away, replaced by a simple, quiet acceptance of the beauty of the blur. The mind is content to rest in this soft focus world, a world without hard lines or clear definitions, a world perfectly designed for the slow and gentle drift into sleep. The rain continues its gentle whispered story on the roof and window pane, a constant and soothing presence that has become the very heartbeat of the night. The silver paths of water on the glass still trace their slow, hypnotic journeys, but now the attention is drawn away from this beautiful, blurry threshold and deeper into the room itself. The gaze turns inward toward the source of the warmth that has been reflecting in every descending droplet. Here in the heart of the attic, a single lamp stands as a quiet beacon against the deepening indigo of the evening. It is the anchor of the space, a small warm sun in a private peaceful universe, and its glow creates a world entirely separate from the one outside. The lamp itself is simple, its base made of dark smooth wood, and its shade a cylinder of pale creamy linen. When unlit, it is unassuming, just another quiet object in a room full of them. But now, with a soft current of life flowing through it, it is transformed. The light it casts is not the sharp white light of utility, but a soft, honeyed glow, the color of late afternoon sunlight trapped in amber. It is a light that does not flood the space, but rather pools within it, creating an island of gentle illumination in the center of the room. Its warmth is almost tangible, a soft pressure in the air that seems to push back the coolness of the night, creating a pocket of perpetual gentle autumn. The light seems to hum with a quiet energy, a silent and steady vibration of pure peace. This warm glow catches the faint, almost imperceptible scents that live in the attic's air, warming them and giving them voice. From the heavy, hand-hewn beams that support the roof comes the clean, dry fragrance of old cedar, a scent that speaks of strength, of permanence, of decades spent silently holding this sanctuary together. And from the stacks of books that rest on low shelves along one wall, another fragrance emerges, the sweet, slightly dusty scent of aged paper and dried ink. It is the smell of stories patiently waiting to be read, of time captured and held still within bound pages. The lamplight seems to gently toast these scents, blending them together into a perfume of stillness and time. An aroma that is profoundly comforting and deeply calming, the very essence of a place that is safe from the rush of the world. The lamp's gentle light falls upon the old wooden floorboards, transforming their humble, worn surfaces. The planks, smoothed by a century of gentle use, seem to drink in the golden light, and their rich amber tones glow from within. Every small imperfection, a shallow dent, a subtle darker knot in the grain, the faint ghost of a footprint, is not a flaw, but a feature, a piece of the floor's quiet history, now softly illuminated. The light glides across the wood, finding the subtle ridges and valleys, creating a landscape of gentle highlights and soft, shallow shadows. It feels as if one could reach down and feel the warmth captured in the wood, a gentle residual heat that mirrors the warmth in one's own heart. From the floor, The light continues its journey, softly touching the objects that inhabit this quiet space. It rests upon the arm of a large overstuffed chair, making the faded floral pattern of its fabric seem to dream of its former brighter colors. It catches the delicate edge of a porcelain teacup left on a small side table, tracing the fine gilded rim with a soft shimmering line. It finds a small brass key resting on a wooden chest. Its surface no longer a bright polished gold, but a deep burnished bronze, full of character and untold stories. The light does not inspect or expose. It caresses. It honors the quiet dignity of each object, revealing not its flaws, but its inherent gentle beauty. In this light, everything seems to belong. Everything is at peace. And with the light comes the shadows. But these are not the sharp, menacing shadows of a harsh, single light source. They are long, soft, and gentle, like smudges of charcoal drawn with a soft hand. The leg of the armchair creates a shadow that stretches out like a lazy, sleeping cat. The stack of books casts a soft, stepped silhouette against the wall behind it. These shadows are not an absence of light, but a softer presence, a quiet counterpoint to the glow. They hold the corners of the room in a gentle embrace, giving the space depth and mystery. They are the keepers of the attic's deepest quiet, the places where the silence is oldest and most profound. They are a comfort, a visual representation of the peaceful, dreamlike state that the room encourages. The attic, under the spell of this single warm lamp, becomes a haven built not just of wood and plaster, but of light and shadow, of warmth and scent. It is a space where time seems to slow to a near standstill. The urgent rhythm of the day, the deadlines, the demands, the constant forward motion has no place here. In this soft golden glow, the only rhythm is the slow and steady beat of a resting heart and the gentle percussive whisper of the rain on the roof above. It is a world complete in itself, a sanctuary where the only requirement is to be still, to breathe, and to receive the profound and simple gift of its peace. The glow within the attic is more than just light. It is a feeling. It is the feeling of being held, of being sheltered, of being in a place where nothing is asked and everything is given. The warm, honeyed light is a visual promise of safety, and the soft embracing shadows are a promise of deep, undisturbed rest. The world outside can continue its turning. The rain can continue its gentle falling. But here in this small pool of golden quiet is well. All is still. And the mind, bathed in this gentle, unwavering light, finds itself letting go, drifting contentedly in a warm and peaceful harbor. The golden light from the single lamp continues its silent exploration of the attic, its warm glow a soft and steady presence. The rain outside maintains its gentle percussive rhythm, a sound that has now woven itself completely into the fabric of the room's deep quiet. It is a sound that insulates, that creates a boundary of peace around this high, sheltered space. Within this boundary, within this pool of warm light, the world reveals itself not just to the eyes, but to the sense of touch. The space is filled with things that speak a quiet language of comfort. Their stories told not in words, but in their very surfaces. This is a haven built of simple, soothing textures, a place where every object is an invitation to feel, to connect, and to be profoundly at ease. Draped over the back of the worn armchair is a heavy woolen blanket. In the lamplight, it is a deep cream, the color of winter wheat, and its surface is a landscape of gentle hills and valleys. It is not a slick modern smoothness, but a rich, nubby texture, a complex and comforting terrain of interlocking loops of yarn. To trace a finger along its surface is to feel the soft friction of the wool, to sense the gentle weight and substance of it. The blanket speaks of warmth, of cool evenings, and deep, restful sleep. It holds within its fibers the memory of comfort. The scent of clean linen and cedar from the chest it is stored in. It is a simple, honest object, its purpose solely to provide warmth and a sense of security, and it fulfills this purpose with a quiet and unassuming grace. The armchair beneath it tells a similar story, but in a different dialect. Where the blanket is textured, the fabric of the chair has been worn smooth. In the places it has been most loved, the seat, the inner arms, the high back, where heads have rested. The faded floral pattern, a ghost of roses and ivy, has a texture that is almost like suede, a soft and gentle nap that is cool to the touch. The wooden arms of the chair, dark and polished by 1,000 resting hands, offer a different kind of comfort. They are solid, smooth, and unchanging. Their surface is like satin, and they hold a deep, resonant coolness that feels grounding. There are subtle indentations and softened edges that speak of their long history of providing support, of being a steady and reliable presence in this quiet room. To rest a hand upon this wood is to feel a connection to all the moments of quiet contemplation this chair has held. Along one wall, a low shelf holds a small collection of books. They are not new and glossy, with sharp corners and stiff spines. These are books that have been read and read again. Their covers, once perhaps a vibrant blue or a deep burgundy, are now softened to the gentle muted tones of a twilight sky. To pick one up is to feel its story before a single page is turned. The cover is pliable, yielding gently in the hand. The corners are softened and slightly rounded, no longer sharp and precise. The edges of the pages, when viewed from the side, are not a clean, solid block, but are feathery and uneven, a testament to the many times they have been turned by thoughtful fingers. It releases that familiar, comforting scent of dry vanilla and faint dust, a fragrance that is the perfume of quiet hours and faraway worlds. Nearby stands a large wooden chest, its surface a vast expanse of dark, richly grained wood. It is solid, its presence in the room both quiet and profound. Unlike the soft, yielding surfaces of the blanket and the chair, the chest is firm and cool to the touch. A slow sweep of the hand across its lid reveals the subtle topography of the grain, a relief map of darker and lighter rivers of wood that have flowed through the tree's long life. It is a surface that feels ancient and alive, connecting this quiet man-made room to the deep, slow time of the forest. The chest is held shut by a simple latch of burnished brass, its surface cool and metallic, a small solid point of contrast to the organic warmth of the wood. It is smoothly resistant, a quiet guardian of the memories and treasures stored within the winter blankets. The old letters, the things kept safe. Every surface in this attic is a testament to the beauty of the well-loved. There are no harsh plastics, no cold, unyielding metals. Everything is natural, softened by time and gentle use. Even the floorboards underfoot have a texture, a subtle grain that can be felt through the soft wool of a sock. It is a room that invites a slower, more tactile engagement with the world. It is a sanctuary where beauty is found not in pristine perfection, but in the gentle evidence of having been lived in, of having provided comfort. This collection of soothing surfaces creates a profound and unspoken sense of welcome. It is a feeling of coming home not just to a place, but to a state of being, a state of quiet, of peace, of being gently held by the simple, honest things of the world. The mind, surrounded by these comforting, gentle textures, finds its own sharp edges beginning to soften. The worries of the day, which can feel so coarse and abrasive, are smoothed away by the imagined feeling of worn wood and soft wool. The constant inner monologue, so often loud and demanding, is quieted by the deep, silent stories held within these objects. The attic is more than a room. It is a sensory embrace. It is a place designed for release, where every surface is an invitation to let go, to feel the solid and gentle reality of the present moment, and to drift into a state of deep and peaceful rest, cocooned in a world of profound and simple comfort. The attic rests in its own golden pool of time, a sanctuary of gentle textures and soft, forgiving light. The hand that had traced the cool, smooth grain of the old wooden chest now lies still content in the profound quiet. The mind, having been soothed by the silent stories of worn fabric and aged paper, finds itself ready to let go even further, to release its focus from the tangible and float into the purely sensory. And as it lets go, the dominant presence in the room makes itself known once more, not as an interruption, but as the very foundation of the stillness. The attention is drawn upward past the heavy dark beams toward the sloping ceiling, toward the source of the sound that has been the night's constant, gentle companion. The rain has truly found its voice, now no longer a hesitant whisper, but a steady and rhythmic drumming on the roof above. It is a sound that does not intrude, but instead envelops, creating a complete and perfect world of sound and shelter. This is not the angry, chaotic sound of a storm lashing out at the world. There is no violence in it, no urgency. It is instead the sound of a great and peaceful settling. The rhythm is a constant, a gentle percussion, for the slowing breath, a lullaby played on the oldest and most resonant of instruments, the house itself. The sound is complex, a symphony of subtle variations that the quiet listening mind can begin to discern. On the thick slate shingles that cover the majority of the roof, the drops produce a deep, earthy thrum. It is a soft, absorbent sound, full of weight and substance, the sound of water meeting ancient stone. Each drop lands with a muted, rounded impact, joining a chorus of countless others to create a dense and textured blanket of sound, a constant, low murmur that is felt as much as it is heard. It is the bass note of the composition, a steady and unwavering foundation of profound calm. But there are other notes in this gentle symphony. Near the peak of the roof, where metal flashing seals the chimney against the elements, the rain finds a different voice. Here, the drops land with a slightly higher, clearer tone. It is not a sharp or jarring sound, but a soft, resonant tink, like a tiny silver bell being struck by a bead of water. These clearer notes are scattered and infrequent, adding a delicate, almost melodic layer to the deep thrum of the slate. They are like small, bright threads woven into a heavy, dark tapestry, catching the ear for just a moment before dissolving back into the whole. They provide a gentle counterpoint, a reminder of the different materials that have come together to create this shelter, each one receiving the gift of the rain in its own unique way. It is a sound that speaks of the careful construction of this haven, of the thoughtful details that ensure its safety and its peace. And then there is the window pane, the great sheet of glass that looks out onto the blurred and softened world. Here, the sound is different again. It is a softer, more liquid patter, a sound that is closer and more intimate. While the drumming on the roof is a grand orchestral presence, the rain on the glass is a chamber piece played just for the occupant of this room. The sound has a certain delicacy, a crispness that is smoothed at the edges. One can almost hear the moment of impact, the tiny splash, the subsequent gathering of water into the rivulets that trace their slow silver paths downward. This sound, combined with the visual of the descending drops, creates a complete sensory experience, a perfect fusion of sight and sound that is endlessly fascinating and deeply calming. It is the most immediate and personal part of the rain's song, a gentle tapping on the door of this quiet sanctuary, not asking for entry, but simply announcing its peaceful, protective presence. This symphony of sound travels through the very structure of the house, becoming a part of its physical being. The deep, steady drumming on the roof is conducted downward through the heavy wooden beams that span the attic ceiling. If one were to reach up and place a hand on the cool, rough-hewn wood, one might feel it, a faint, deep vibration, a subtle resonance that travels from the roof through the solid timber and into the air of the room. It is the house breathing with the rain. It is the feeling of the entire structure settling into the night, absorbing the gentle energy of the falling water and transforming it into a palpable sense of security. The house feels more solid, more present, more alive in the rain. It is not just a passive shelter, but an active participant in the night's tranquility. Its strong bones humming with the deep, peaceful rhythm of the sky. The cumulative effect of these sounds is one of complete envelopment. The attic becomes a sonic cocoon, a space defined and insulated by the gentle, persistent music of the rain. The world outside of this sound world ceases to exist. The distant traffic, the hum of the city, the sharp and unpredictable noises of a world that never fully sleeps. It is washed away, erased by the steady cleansing sound of the water. The rain creates a dome of peace, a temporary and perfect world, where the only sound is this pure, natural, and profoundly soothing rhythm. It is a sound that asks for nothing. It does not require interpretation or analysis. Its only purpose is to be, and in its being, it provides a powerful anchor for the drifting mind. It is a constant, a reliable and unchanging presence in a world that is so often in flux. To listen to it is to feel a deep sense of stability, of being held in a moment that is safe and secure. This rhythm, this language of the rain, feels older than words. It speaks of things the conscious mind has forgotten, but the deeper self remembers. It speaks of the great, slow cycles of the earth, of evaporation, of gathering, of release, and of renewal. It is a story that has been told every night for 1,000,000 years, a narrative of clouds and earth of the sky, gently giving back what the sun has taken. To be held within this story is to feel a part of something vast and timeless. The small personal worries of a single day seem to lose their sharp edges and their heavy weight when placed against the backdrop of this ancient and eternal cycle. The rain whispers of patience, of the necessity of letting go, of the quiet replenishment that always follows a long period of holding on. It is a message of profound and gentle acceptance. The steady percussion becomes a physical guide for the body's own rhythms. The breath, which may have been shallow and quick, finds itself unconsciously slowing to match the steady, unhurried tempo of the drops on the roof. Inhale on a soft cluster of patters. Exhale on the long, low thrum that follows. The heart, too, seems to hear the lullaby, and its own frantic pace, driven by the day's demands, begins to soften and slow, finding a calmer, more restful beat. The rain is a gentle metronome, patiently guiding the entire system, body, mind, and spirit downward into a state of deep and restorative calm. It is a form of release that requires no effort, no active participation, other than the simple act of listening, of allowing the sound to wash through the senses, cleansing and quieting everything it touches. The journey to sleep is not a destination to be strived for, but a gentle downward current to be surrendered to, and the rain is the very sound of that current, pulling ever so gently toward the deep, quiet waters of dream. The attic is now a resonant chamber, a musical instrument played by the gentle, persistent hand of the night. The rhythm of the roof has become the rhythm of the room, a deep and steady pulse that underlies the profound silence. It is a sound that has moved beyond mere sound, transforming into a feeling, a physical presence that holds the space in a secure and timeless embrace. The mind, having been lulled by this constant soothing percussion, no longer needs to focus on the tangible textures or the soft golden light. It is free to float, to drift on the currents of this soundscape, and to listen not just with the ears, but with the heart. And in this deeper state of listening, it becomes clear that the rain is not just falling, it is speaking. It tells a story, a narrative woven from water and gravity, a tale that seems to speak a language older than words. The first chapter of its story is one of cleansing. The steady patter seems to wash the very air clean of worry, of the day's sharp edges. one can almost picture it. This gentle, tireless work happening just beyond the window. The countless drops land upon the old slate shingles, washing away the fine layer of dust that the dry day had left behind. They trace paths through the accumulated pollen and fallen leaves, gathering the remnants of the active world and carrying them gently downward to be absorbed by the thirsty earth below. The great leaves of the old oak tree, once dusty and muted, are now a deep, glossy green, dripping with a fresh and vibrant life. It is a quiet and meticulous purification, a slow and steady rinsing of the world, leaving everything it touches feeling renewed, refreshed, and at peace with itself. This external cleansing becomes a powerful metaphor for an internal release. The thoughts of the day, the lingering conversations, the unresolved questions, they are like the dust on the roof. They have a certain texture, a grittiness that can cling to the surface of the mind. But the sound of the rain acts as a gentle solvent dissolving their hold. With each soft thrum on the slate, a layer of mental dust is washed away. The need to analyze, to plan, to remember all begins to fade. The mind is being gently rinsed, not with force, but with a persistent and loving patience. It is a story that does not command a letting go, but simply demonstrates how easy and natural it can be. The rain asks for nothing but to be heard, and in the hearing, the release happens all on its own, a quiet and effortless surrender. As the mind drifts in this clean, open space, the visual focus returns for a moment to the window. But the view has changed once more. The blurry, impressionistic world outside has dissolved even further. The distant streetlights are no longer hazy stars, but soft shimmering orbs of light, their edges bleeding into the deep, wet dark. This is the world reduced to pure bokeh, to a gentle pattern of overlapping circles of soft, unfocused color. A distant car, its headlights 2 points of moving gold, becomes a slow, silent glide of 2 soft, luminous jewels across a velvet canvas. There are no hard lines, no definitions, no details to process. It is a visual mantra, a pattern of such gentle and abstract beauty that it calms the optic nerve and quiets the analytical part of the brain. It is the visual equivalent of the rain's sound, a story told in pure sensation rather than in facts. Within this gentle, abstract world, the rain whispers other subtler stories. It speaks of memory, but not in a way that pulls the mind back into the sharp details of the past. Instead, it evokes the feeling of memory, the soft, warm echo of other peaceful moments. The sound of rain on a roof is a timeless sound, and it connects this present moment to 1,000 others just like it, stretching back through a lifetime. It might evoke the feeling of being a small child, tucked safely in bed, while a summer shower pattered on the windows, the world feeling vast and mysterious, but not at all frightening. It might recall the scent of a wet garden from a quiet afternoon long ago, or the simple comfort of sharing a quiet indoor space with someone loved, while the weather raged gently outside. These are not active recollections, but faint sweet fragrances that drift through the mind and are gone, leaving behind only a residue of peace and a deep sense of continuity. And finally, the deepest story the rain tells is one of patience and acceptance. It is a narrative of clouds and earth, of cycles and seasons. The rain does not hurry. It does not worry about where it will fall or what it will nourish. It simply lets go. It surrenders to gravity, to the pull of the earth, and in that surrender, it finds its purpose. It brings life to the soil. It cleanses the air. It fills the rivers. Its story is a quiet lesson in the power of release, in the wisdom of allowing things to follow their natural course. The gathering of clouds, the heaviness, the eventual inevitable. Letting go, it is the same cycle as the gathering of weariness at the end of a long day, and the deep, necessary release into sleep. To listen to the rain is to be reminded of this profound and simple truth, that release is not an end, but a vital part of a beautiful and unending cycle of renewal. These stories of cleansing, of memory, of patience are not demanding. They do not have plots or characters in the traditional sense. They are impressions, feelings, gentle suggestions, whispered on the edge of sleep. They flow through the mind like the water on the window pane, appearing for a moment in a shimmer of quiet understanding, before drifting on and dissolving. They are the perfect bedtime stories, asking for nothing but a quiet mind and a receptive heart. And as they wash through the consciousness, they carry the listener ever deeper into a state of profound tranquility, a place where the stories cease and all that remains is the gentle, rhythmic, and deeply peaceful sound of the rain itself, a lullaby for the world. The gentle stories carried on the rain have been told. They have washed through the quiet chambers of the mind, not as distinct narratives to be remembered, but as a soft cleansing tide. And now they have receded, leaving behind a profound and settled peace. The attic rests bathed in this deep tranquility, a vessel holding the stillness of the night. The rain has not stopped. Its gentle rhythmic heartbeat continues on the roof. But the act of listening has changed. It is no longer an active receiving of sound, but a passive state of being within the sound. The mind has let go of its need to follow, to interpret, to name. It is simply present, floating in the deep and gentle harbor of the room. And in this deeper state of quiet, a subtle shift begins to occur. It begins with the light. The single warm lamp, which has been the golden sun of this small universe, seems to decide of its own accord that its work is nearly done. It does not flicker or fail, but rather it begins to gather its energy inward. The light seems to grow heavier, denser, willing its glow closer to its source. The wide, generous pool of honeyed light on the floorboards slowly, imperceptibly begins to shrink its edges, softening and receding. The far corners of the room, which were held in soft charcoal shadows, now merge into a deeper, more velvety darkness. It is not an encroaching or menacing dark, but a comforting one, a soft and heavy blanket of dusk being drawn carefully over the room. The lamp's glow now illuminates only the immediate space around it. The worn armchair, the small side table, a circle of the old wooden floor. The rest of the attic is surrendered to a gentle and profound obscurity. The effect is one of increasing intimacy of the world, shrinking to a small, perfectly safe and wonderfully simple space. The grand sanctuary of the attic has become a small, warm nest. The need to see to know what lies in the shadows has completely faded away. There is a deep and trusting sense that the shadows hold nothing but more of this same deep and abiding peace. The light is no longer a tool for seeing, but a gentle presence, a quiet companion for the final slow drift into rest. As the light recedes, so too does the clear distinction between the sound of the rain and the silence of the room. Before they were two separate things, a sound happening within a silence. Now they begin to melt into one another, to fuse into a single unified state. The silence of the attic is no longer empty. Its very texture is the soft, steady patter of the rain. And the rain is no longer a sound that breaks the quiet. It is the voice of the quiet itself. It is like trying to separate the threads from a piece of dark woven cloth. It is impossible and unnecessary. The sound and the silence are one. They are the same entity, a gentle rhythmic stillness that fills the air, the mind, the entire world. This merging of the senses creates a profound and simple feeling, the feeling of being held. It is as if the entire room, the soft darkness, the gentle rhythmic sound, the faint clean scent of rain and cedar has become a single living presence, and it is holding you in a safe and unwavering embrace. The solid back of the chair is a part of this embrace. The gentle weight of the air is a part of it. The constant soothing murmur from the roof is its lullaby. The boundary between the self and the room begins to soften and dissolve. The feeling of the body resting in the chair and the feeling of the room resting in the night become one and the same. There is no separation. There is only this deep quiet and unified state of being. All that remains is this feeling of being secure, safe from the weather and the turning world. The world outside the window has completely vanished, not just visually into a blur, but conceptually. It has been forgotten, let go of with a gentle and final sigh. Its complexities, its demands, its ceaseless motion, they have no reality here. The only reality is the deep, womb-like comfort of this space. Thoughts may still drift by, but they are like faint, distant clouds on a moonless night, passing without notice, their shapes indistinct and their meaning unimportant. They are no longer attached to anything. They have no weight. They are simply the last fading echoes of a day that is now long gone. The breath is slow and deep, now moving in a natural, unconscious rhythm with the gentle pulse of the rain. Each inhalation is a quiet drawing in of this profound peace. Each exhalation is a final, complete release of all that is held, all that is tense, all that is unnecessary. The body is heavy and soft, anchored by its own comfortable weight to the safety of the chair, to the stillness of the house. The mind is clear, open, and vast. There is nothing to do. There is nowhere to be. There is only this deepening hush, this perfect, gentle, and all-encompassing peace. The deepening hush has settled completely, and the attic is now a vessel of pure and simple peace. The world has been distilled down to this single safe enclosure where the only realities are the gentle dark, the soft air, and the feeling of being utterly at rest. The body is heavy, but it is a comfortable, grounding weight, a reminder of its deep connection to the stillness of the earth. The mind, clear and open, floats gently in this quiet, no longer seeking or questioning, but simply being. It has arrived at the very shores of slumber, and now the last gentle current is here to carry it across. The narrative of the rain, the long and soothing story it has told all night, now begins its final soft conclusion. The sound which had become one with the silence begins to change its nature. The steady, defined rhythm, the gentle percussion of drop after drop starts to soften and blur at the edges. The distinct notes, the deep thrum on the slate, the soft patter on the glass begin to merge, losing their individuality. They blend into one another, creating a single, continuous sound that is less like drumming and more like a low, gentle murmur. It is the sound of a distant, slow-moving river heard from a high and peaceful hill. It is a sound without sharp points or clear patterns, a smooth and unbroken hum of pure tranquility. The rain is no longer speaking in sentences, but is now just breathing a long, slow, and contented sigh. This gentle murmur continues to soften its presence in the room, becoming ever more subtle. It recedes like a slow tide, pulling away from a quiet shore, its volume decreasing with an almost imperceptible grace. The murmur thins its resonant depth, giving way to a sound that is now barely there, a faint and delicate whisper. It is the ghost of a sound on the very edge of hearing, so quiet that it might be mistaken for the listener's own slow and steady breath. It is the sound of the last few drops falling from the leaves of the old oak tree long after the rain has passed. It is the final, softest exhalation of the night, a secret of deep peace whispered directly into the ear of the sleeping world. And then, with a slowness that is infinite and perfect, the whisper does not stop, but simply dissolves. It does not end, but rather it merges completely into the deep quiet that was always waiting beneath it. The last faintest vibration in the air smooths out into a perfect and unbroken stillness. There is a moment, a single beautiful point of transition, where the memory of the sound and the reality of the silence are one and the same. And then there is only the silence. It is not an empty silence, not an absence of sound, but a silence that is full and rich and alive. It is the deep, restorative quiet of the sleeping earth, of the resting house of a mind that has finally, completely let go. The attic rests in this profound stillness. It is a space of pure potential, a calm and empty vessel, waiting to be filled with the gentle, formless substance of dreams. The lamp is a cool, dark shape in a room that is now held only by the soft, ambient dark of the night itself. The window is no longer a canvas for rain, but a simple pane of deep, restful blackness, indistinguishable from the walls around it. Every object, the chair, the chest, the books, the blanket is asleep, their textures and stories now folded into the universal quiet. The entire house breathes in this peace, its strong old bones settled into a deep and unwavering slumber. The world is asleep. The long day has been washed clean. The stories have been told, the rhythms have slowed and softened and ceased. All that remains is this still point, this perfect and unending moment of pure rest. It is a place of release. It is a place of renewal. All is well, all is peace. Sleep well, dream softly, and may the night hold you kindly.